2023 Ironman Maryland. Let's get into it. A couple of quick notes before we get started. If you are interested in some individual coaching, please reach out to me and I will be happy to set you up with some good things. If you do like the video, please like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Also, we will be breaking down the pre-race information, so if you are hip to that, make sure you go ahead and skip ahead to the course breakdown for the swim, bike, and run for race day success. So without further ado, page 4 of our athlete guide. Make sure you head over to the athlete page and download this so you can actively read through this and skim through it so you can read all the information that I do skip over for you. Wednesday, the festivities begin. We do have the athlete briefings at 1 and 3 with a first-timer Q&A. We also have athlete check-in from 12 to 5, all at the same place. Thursday, things kick off again. That is the last day for athlete check-in because there's no athlete check-in tomorrow, Friday. Today, Thursday, 9 to 5, it is available for you. We also have a first-timer clinic, 11 to 2 p.m., and the athlete briefings are fast and furious at 11, 1, and 3 with another briefing at 4. We have a welcome social from 5:45 to 6:30, and the ceremony right after 6:30 to 7:30. Friday, this is going to be the big day around the race venue. This is going to be where people are doing a whole lot of things, and a lot of people are just going to be moving around, and there's going to be big energy all around the place on this day. So Friday, we have our shuttle service starting at 8:30, ending at 3:30. Mandatory bike and run bag drop-off is going to happen at 10 to 3 p.m. Athlete briefings are at 11 and 2 p.m. with a community welcome concert happening at 5 p.m. Be careful staying around too late for that. Might want to catch up on rest and not stay out super late, but should check it out at least. You know, shuttle services on Saturday start at 4:15 a.m. Transition area starts at 5 to 6:30. Morning clothes drop off and personal needs bag drop off happens from 5 to 6:30 as well. That pro race, I believe, for the men happen at 6:35. Age group race starts happen at 6:50. And the morning clothes pickup will happen from 12 p.m. onward. Information tent 4 to 7 p.m. and the local shuttle service from 4 p.m. to 12:45 a.m. Mandatory bike and gear checkout starting at 6:15, lasting until 1. And Sunday is the awards ceremony and slot allocation. Page 6, we have our athlete check-in area. Make sure you check in here for specific places and addresses, things like that. Make sure when you are checking in, you bring your race registration code, your ID, all of that good stuff, USAT card. And you will get your athlete wristband, you will get your bike stickers in there. Your bike stickers are for your frame, your helmet, and your bike stem. You'll also have 5 extra gear bag stickers, which I believe are on the next couple of pages here. But again, page 8, pre-race info. We talk about the welcome ceremony, dining, first timers, mandatory athlete briefing here, mandatory bike and gear check-in. Okay, you will pick up your timing chip when exiting the bike and gear check-in after you've dropped off your equipment. So this is a mandatory thing that everybody has to do. You're going to pack up all of your bike stuff, all of your run stuff, and your bike. You're going to bring it to transition the day before. You're going to put it all in there. You'll be ready to rock and roll. So on race morning, you show up and all of your stuff is, almost all your stuff is there. When exiting this area, this check-in period, you will get your timing chip, which should be worn on your left ankle on race morning. Pre-race swim advisement. I'm going to read this to you because it is very specific. The designated swim area is on the west, and it is designated with the small yellow buoys. Orange buoys designate an active crabbing area. You must stay clear of this, and anyone seeing swimming with the active crabbing area is subject to disqualification. Welcome to the Maryland state. They take their crabs serious. What can I say? Gear bags, page 9. The white one is your morning clothes bag. The blue is your bike bag. Red is run. Orange is bike personal needs. And black is your run personal needs. Okay, so all you first timers out there, you're going to pack all your bike stuff in the one that says bike. You're going to pack all of your run stuff in the one that says run. You're going to bring these two along with your bike to bike check-in the day before. Page 10 talks about parking and shuttle, race day information on page 11. Body marking, you will not need to body mark for this race. Woo-hoo. Timing chip, again, it will not be in your packet. You'll pick it up after you do check in. Pre-race morning procedure, the transition does open at 5 a.m. Make sure you bring your timing chip, swim cap, and wetsuit with you. They say they will have bike technicians, but if you are able to have a friend with you that is not racing, a Sherpa, make sure you bring your pump. Do your thing if you need to do it in the morning and give it to them and tell them to get the heck out of there. Otherwise, you will never see your pump again. Aid stations on the bike are every 15 miles apart and will offer the regular fixins: water, Gatorade, Red Bull, Morton gels, bars, fruits, all that good stuff. And on the run, they are approximately a mile apart, so you have ample opportunities to fuel with water, Gatorade Endurance, Red Bull, Cola, gels, chips, pretzels, fruit, broth, and active ice, which is available, they say, in transition only. If it's a very hot day, this will change, or it should change. But just keep that in mind if you come off the bike and you've overcooked it a little bit. You might want to pick up some ice on your way out. Race day information is going to continue on page 13 with timing cutoffs, transition cutoffs, all of that good stuff. So make sure you read that if you are nervous about that. On page 15, we have post-race info such as bike and gear checkout, athlete food tent, awards ceremony, which is held at Hyatt Regency Chesapeake Bay on Sunday, September 17th, starting at 9:30 a.m. All right. So with that, qualifying is on page 17, and let's dive into the nitty-gritty details of this Ironman course. So first thing to note, this is a 2-loop course for everyone. We are going to start off over here. You are not going to start off at the boat ramp. Transition is going to be over here, and this is actually part of the run course, which we will be on right here. So starting out in our counterclockwise fashion over here, you will be starting in a shallow portion of water through here. Don't be surprised if you will be able to walk to this first buoy. There have been instances of that happening in the last couple of years. It just depends on what's been happening with the tides and the storms and all the sediment that's built up through here. If you are able to stand and it's super shallow, you might just want to dolphin dive or walk out there. I'm always wary of walking in places like this because you never know if there's a can or anything else, sharp rock that can just cut your foot open. So if the water is deeper than about 3 feet, I would highly encourage you to just start swimming. Okay. If not, dolphin diving is going to be your friend. But if you want the safer bet, just start swimming. Okay. No matter where you are, this is going to be a time trial start, so athletes are going to get released out of different corrals, and they will be released in groups of 3 to 4-ish, depending on the area that is available to them. And with that, there's going to be a couple things that happen. Pros, you're going to be with someone pretty much until this corner right here. It's just going to be a battle for this first left-hand turn, second left-hand turn, okay? As you start to make your way back, things get a little spicy. This is the first real opportunity for you to jump ship to a group in front of you or to put some daylight in between the people behind you. You take another left-hand turn over here, and by this point in time, when you start the second loop, the groups are pretty much solidified for the remainder of the swim, so this is the last real opportunity to do something professionals. Age groupers, you're going to kind of do the opposite here. Your main goal is going to be to get to this turn buoy very comfortable, very ready to rock and roll. Since this is a first-timer event, you're going to have a lot of active athletes out there. With that being the case, allow them to do the work for you. They are going to be flying out of the gate here, and honestly, let them do that. Let them pull you along, get a free ride. But at this point in time, you're going to need to make a judgment call. Is this worth it? Or do you need to start leapfrogging individuals and getting up to some other quicker individuals that aren't going to bonk on the swim? That's going to be a personal call. But After this point in time, things will start to fan out a little bit, right? And once you do start to get to this turn area, you're just going to hit lap traffic after that. Slower athletes, you're going to hit lap traffic right from the get-go just because you get released later in the corral system. Last big thing about this swim course, two last things, is currents. Currents usually go one of two ways, this way or this way. Okay, there might be a slight variation out on race day, right? If it is this way, right, then note that you probably will not have a super strong current in this area right here because the water gets pushed out this way before it curls down here. So the area where you can make up some ground on individuals is going to be during this point right through here. But the further you get towards this area out on the course through here, the more the currents are going to start to make more of an impact. Okay, and it just is what it is. You know, you just kind of have to battle it. It's usually not super aggressive, but since it does go one of the two ways, if you are experiencing a head current when you are traveling back to that boat ramp this way, right? If that is happening to you, you're just going to have to bear down and kind of get through it. You will have to increase the effort level a little bit to slice through the water, but that is the big key in that sentence, just a little bit, right? What athletes don't do on race day is just increase their effort a little bit, and what they typically do during this back stretch right here, if they have a head current, is they really battle the water and they put it all out there during this section. Do not do that, please, okay? Be very, very careful here and just swim your race. You know, don't get caught up in a lot of the games, and there's going to be a ton of games being played for pretty much the entire swim. I'm just going to be honest with you, right? If you have a tail current and the water is pushing you during this section over here, you know, ride the wave, you know, enjoy it. Don't chase that extra speed, you know, let it kind of come to you. And when you're going faster, just kind of let it happen for a while, all right? And once you do make this turn over here, remember that water is going over there, so you're likely going to get pushed further over here. But like we talked about earlier, there is going to be kind of a dead area of water right through here. And that could last a little bit longer just depending on what's happening, right? So just gauge it out there when it's happening. And again, don't really overthink it. Last big thing that we got to talk about on this course is jellyfish, all right? There have been a lot of years where the jellyfish are out there. Realize there's nothing you can do, right? They're going to be out there, and it is what it is. You'll swim through it. You're going to be fine. If you wanted to have an extra layer of protection, you could get some Vaseline, put it on your hands, put it on your feet, right? Put it on your face and neck, that kind of stuff. Make sure you put your goggles on before you do that on race day, and realize that that could create a whole lot of other stress out there, and in my opinion, it's just not needed, right? If you do elect to go the Vaseline route, I would highly recommend that you do that. That'd be like the last thing that you do before you go in the water, because if you put it all over your body, you have to take your goggles off because they fog up or whatever, right? Whatever situation comes up, and then you put your goggles back on, you now have a layer of skin, and with Vaseline in between those goggles and your skin. So what that's going to effectively do is allow those goggles to move around, and aka you're going to get water in your goggles, and it's just going to last for the entirety of the swim, right? And it's not just regular water, it's going to be salty water as well. So that's going to be a double whammy for you. Don't panic. Don't freak out. You know, realize the professionals have to go through it first, and they will break things up and get things kind of out of the way. And the more athletes that are out there on course, the more of a red carpet has kind of been drawn for you out there. So don't freak out about that. It's usually a really high contention point out for a lot of athletes beforehand. And, you know, just it is what it is. Don't worry about it. Get a box of Vaseline or a tube of Vaseline, and you'll be fine. Okay. Swim course rules happen on page 20. They talk about the wetsuit temperatures, things like that. You can read those rules as you want to. This is our bike course. This is a two-loop bike course. Big thing to note about our two-loop bike course here is it has been updated from years past. This is the original bike course-ish, minus that little mistake there. But this is the new one right through here, so we're going to get rid of that one. You will also notice that we have about 570 feet of elevation gain. Normally when I do these videos, this is just popping up all over the place. So the, the major impact on this course is actually not the elevation, believe it or not, right? The major impact on this course is YOU. Okay, you are your own worst enemy on a course like this. Remember when I talked about the games being played on race day? Well, games are going to be had. Games are going to be out in full force on the bike, especially for our first 10 miles. We come out of the water and we zigzag through town here. That back section you will know very well come the run. You'll fly through there and people are going to be going crazy through here. The main opportunity for you to go through the neighborhoods are for you to kind of get your legs back under you, fuel, get some hydration in, you know, kind of fix some of the things that went wrong on the swim, if anything, right? If nothing went wrong, you were great, perfect. Get your legs ready to rock and roll for the rest of the day because it's going to be a battle. If things did go wrong, you swallowed seawater, you know, you got kicked in the face, figure out your day, figure out what needs to happen, right? If you swallowed a lot of that seawater, you're going to need to have a lot more water to kind of offset that and make sure you have a decent performance and not one that's totally trashed just because you swallowed 3 or 4 gulps of seawater, okay? So now that we've kind of got through our little neighborhood section, there's lots of twists, lots of turns. Realize there's lots of first-timers out there, age groupers. So if you are an experienced athlete and you came out of the water slow, right, you're going to have to battle through some of those packs and just let them know that, you know, you're coming up on the left-hand side. Avoid going over the center line to pass athletes, as annoying as it might be sometimes. If you do that, you will get penalized, maybe even DQ'd, okay? Now that we've made it out of our neighborhood section, we're going to peel, and I'm going to, let's highlight this section for us, just because we have to talk about some important things. Now, when we do climb out of our neighborhood, there is a stretch of road that happens right through here, right? Miles, let's call it 2.7 to 2.3, 2.4. This is a great opportunity for you to really do something dumb, okay? Chances are there's going to be a tailwind or no wind during this section here, and you can go fast, and it's easy to go fast. Before you know it, you'll be steamrolling down the road. You have a great right-hand turn, and you will explode out of that right-hand turn, and, you know, it is pointless. So do not hit the gas just yet. It's okay to go fast, but avoid going super fast during this section right through here. Another opportunity for you to kind of blow it is during the section where you do go out by the golf course through here, right? One of my favorite sections of road happens right through here where we do make this left-hand turn. It's a nice tree canopy, and again, this is another road where it's just baiting you to go fast. It says, hey, please go fast here. You should go fast here. You absolutely have to go fast here, and other athletes are going to take that opportunity to do it. And just like the swim, let these athletes go or use them as a draft. You know, the draft zone isn't massive, okay? And if you really wanted to talk about that right away, we can absolutely do that. The draft zone is 12 meters long, okay? 6 bike lengths from the person in front of you. There's going to be packs out here, and this is a great opportunity for you to really exploit that rule to the fullest letter there. Athletes are going to be everywhere. Chances are marshals aren't going crazy through this point in time just yet. So a huge drafting bonus for you is going to be right through here. I say that legally, at least the 12 meters, right? But you still usually get a bonus from that. And the speeds are usually higher through here anyways, which is great. Then you're going to take a left-hand turn. It's going to be a bit bumpy for a second, and then a right-hand turn. And again, you are on one of the best stretches of road there is out there, but it comes at a cost. So this blue stretch of road, again, this is another fast area, and it can be it's not a super fast area in nature, right? But because everyone's out there, it's an easy area to push and really open yourself up to mistakes later on. I mean, realize this is only the first 12 miles of the course, so you're still going to have a lot of adrenaline still going through you. You're going to be excited. It's going to be easy to chase the person in front of you or someone that's past you or whatever, right? Just be careful during this section. If you look, you usually, let's say you have a tailwind, right? It usually starts out that you have a tail crosswind, and then you make this turn and you go into a headwind during this stretch of road here. Because of that, you're battling yourself. You say, I need to keep my speed up. It's a mental thing, and you keep it up and you really force it during that area, and that's the first 12 miles right there, and you're really in the red already. You don't want to do that yet. You want to go fast, but in control. We are going to step out onto the course here. Again, this is a clockwise loop this year. This is not the traditional circle. This is a little mixture. If it was me, it looks kind of like a duck, right, with their little bill, or the little top of the tail of the head right through here, little cartoon character. But as we go down here, we're actually going to start to switch to our little best bike split software. So we are going to tell you exactly what happens this one time through with the weather, right? So we're going to start off through the neighborhoods here. We usually have a cross headwind going by the golf course, turning into a tailwind where you fly and you start to turn around and that wind turns with you. You have a cross headwind going onto the course here, and you are going to move into, on the back side of this course right through here, a tailwind. So again, another dangerous spot for athletes here. We're going to turn to a pretty much a 180, which obviously we are going to have a headwind before crossing back over into another crosswind where we turn down and we have another opportunity to fly pretty much to the bottom of this course right through here. Making a couple right-hand turns will teach you to go right back into the wind. Another right-hand bend is going to turn us directly into a headwind traditionally. And that's going to pretty much last all the way to the end of that loop, and then it's rinse, repeat. When we get to the end of this course again, or this loop again, right, we go back onto some of the known roads that we did that very first time, right? And it's going to be very different because you are essentially going to have a headwind from the end of our loop to the finish line. And if we backtrack it a little bit more, that headwind is going to last pretty much from mile 90 all the way in, okay? And that's just the way it goes here. So don't put all your eggs in one basket. You need to save a couple of those eggs for the last 20-ish miles out on race day. And depending on what happens, that could last even longer. You could have a potential cross or headwind from mile 80 all the way in even, so the work is really going to happen this year. If it's a slack day with the wind, awesome, it's perfect. If it's a day with a lot of wind, the wind can be a real demoralizer out there. Looking at our power, I'm going to take speed away so it's a little bit clearer. This is about as flat as it gets, guys. Okay, so your own worst enemy out there is you. When you are going on these headwind sections, make sure you are in the arrow position. Speaking of that arrow position, you don't want to lock yourself into that arrow position. You want to allow yourself to come out of that position every once in a while. Variance on this course is going to be another big thing because you have the ability to just sit in the arrow position literally all day. You have to create that variance for yourself. Change up your pedaling style, make a surge here and there, that's a controlled surge, right? But you just want to change the way you're producing the power probably every 5 to 10 minutes. And it doesn't have to be for a long time, it just has to be for a little bit. Don't let your body go to sleep in that position because when you have to get out of it or change what's going on, you're not going to be able to respond right away. It's going to take your body a little bit of time to respond and recover to that locked in position, especially on the run. So taking away the elevation because we pretty much don't need it out there. You can see that our speed when I bring it back, it goes up, it goes down, it goes a little squiggly before it goes back up and down again, and that is all by design. That is all from the wind. Going to our power again, it's not really an adjustment setting here. If we look over here, this athlete's going to hold 115, and we are going to ramp up to an aggressive 121. So the power is pretty consistent over the course of the day, all right? couple of other big things to note about our bike course are the aid stations. During the first danger portion of the course, where you are really at your own mercy, is the first 12 miles of the course. This is the area where most athletes really open themselves up to a spot of bother. And it's a self-inflicted thing here, and you just got to be very, very careful of that. Those first 12 miles should be a easing into thing, period, right? Our personal needs area, this little squiggly right through here, part that I do not have on this map right here, is the high school area. If you want the specific course, make sure you head over to the Ironman Maryland site. You go to the courses, and I believe you go to the bike section through here. You scroll down, and then you're going to, oh, they do not have it. They do not have the download GPX file. Other races do. This one does not yet. But anyways, going back over to the start of our first loop here. As you can see, very flat. We are going to have a bit of a tailwind here, and we're going back here so we can see that speed, and this is why you have the higher rate of speed at that orange line there. We do have a bit of a dip when we start to turn over here, but it does pick back up, believe it or not, through this section over here, and that is because the weather, right? That is because the weather isn't super aggressive yet, right? In this simulation, the wind is about 3.5 miles an hour. And as we get further and further throughout the day, in this simulation, it is modeled at 2. And this is an ideal situation, guys. It's probably not going to be like this. So just expect it to be worse, okay? And the wind's going to have more of an impact on that weather. As we start to make that turn down and we start to get towards the bottom of our course here, if the weather is just like this, when you get to the bottom of this course, I would expect, and I'm going to say this is not a popular thing to say, I would expect to battle headwind for the rest of the loop, for the remainder of that loop right there until you get back to the high school, and then you're going to have a tailwind if this is the simulation that does hold true. But watch the weather and you can kind of gauge what I'm about to say and use it differently if need be. If this is the case, right, this whole section when we come back for our second loop where we do have the tailwind portion all the way to the bottom, and on the first loop as well, this is not the point in time to attack. You really want to save that for the bottom back up to the top of our circuit through here. Don't get me wrong, you still want to be going fast, but a place where athletes are really going to open themselves up to issues over there if you're an 18-mile-an-hour rider. Typically, if you start to go 20, 23 miles an hour and you say, hey, this is easy still, I can push for that 25 miles an hour, I'm going to make that push and I'm just going to hold it, right? Because of the variance of this course, there's really nothing else out there, right? So you can hold that 25 miles an hour for a while, absolutely. But then when you get to the bottom of this course right here, you've spent the duration of the quote-unquote tailwind section really pushing extra watts for about an extra mile an hour. And so you're really going to pay the price when you start to climb, or start to go back up the finishing portion of this circuit. So it's okay to go fast, but do it in control. Know yourself, know your limits. If you're an 18-mile-an-hour rider and you find yourself going 23 and it's still easy, it might be beneficial for you to keep it there, keep it easy, keep it consistent, right? Because when you start to make this turn at the bottom of this course, it is time to go to work. And again, we're talking 3.5 mile an hour winds. It's not uncommon to get to 15, 20 mile an hour winds out there. And you can see the extremes that will play, right? Because if you're just cruising on the tailwind section and it's a 20 mile an hour tailwind, you turn around, it's 20 mile an hour headwind, you're going to have to battle a lot to get back into town. I would expect it to be, once you get to the top of our circuit to go back in, I would expect it to be a little worse than this model for sure. At least 10 mile an hour winds going back in. That is pretty standard for a course like this, okay? And that's our bike course. So if we go back to our map over here, you can see that the aid stations are littered throughout this bike. We have the first one happening right here at mile 12 before we get on the main drag. We have another one which I believe this one is mislabeled. It's actually going to be right in there. Next aid station happens right through this point after mile 27, right through here. The bottom of our circuit has an aid station that is going to be at mile 37, and then there's another one that pops up over here, mile 48, before we go back up here right before mile 60. So that's about 59, 58 miles. And here, second lap, you're going to experience this one probably at mile 70. 73, and then you're going to come back down here for mile 82, and then one of the last ones you have on course is right before mile 94. The last one out on course, if it still exists, is going to be before 104 right there. Now, I'm going to say that all of these aid stations are must-hit aid stations. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but if it's a hot day, you're going to need the excess water, excess liquid to keep yourself cool. If it's not a hot day out there, you're just going to need some things to top yourself off. On a course like this, you don't have a major penalty for excess weight, so why not have it on you anyways? You actually get a little bit of a benefit if you get yourself up and moving and you can consistently hold that. If you experience, you're just kind of cratering and there's an aid station at about 10 miles and you have loads and loads of liquid on and you're battling a headwind, that's a totally different story, right? Feel free to dump a bottle, empty it out, do whatever you got to do to make it lighter, get yourself down the road. But for the most part on a course like this, it's not really going to affect you too much. That weight penalty that you get isn't going to be massive if you can keep the pedals turning. And that's our bike course. Again, just like the swim, you don't really need to overthink this one. Your biggest barrier to success here is you. So if you go out with a huge ego and you say, hey, I'm going to ride 30 watts harder than I've ever done, you're gonna bonk. It's just easy, right? You go out there, forget your nutrition for an hour and a half, you're gonna bonk, okay? You got here already, do your race day nutrition the way you've been practicing, and you're gonna be golden out there, okay? If things do start to go south and you realize you haven't fueled up, you haven't done everything right, fix it. Fix it as soon as possible. Okay, go down your list. How many calories have I had? How much water have I had? What's my nutrition been like? What can I do to fix this? What have I not done? Have I gone too hard? Do I need to back things down? And this is something that you just need to have running through your mind pretty much constantly throughout the day. You can't just fall asleep out there. You got to be on yourself. You are your own worst enemy out there. So be your best friend, be your mentor out there, be your best Sherpa, okay? And have yourself in check the entire time. Don't let this lack of elevation, allow yourself to go to sleep. Be on it the whole time you're out there. Scrolling down to page 26, we do have the position rules. Overtaking must happen in 25 seconds or less. Otherwise, you will get an overtake penalty, a blocking penalty in there. Another question for you to ask. I don't believe it is listed out here. Usually is not. Where is the penalty tent? Is it located at the high school here? If you do get a penalty on your second loop, you're probably going to have to serve that somewhere in the transition area. Make sure you do ask that on your race briefings when you check in. More bike course rules are going to be on page 27 for you to read. Scrolling further down here, we are going to talk about the run, which is a 3-loop run this year. Starting off over here in our transition area, you're going to head out. You are going to start out going this way as is usual. But again, make sure you are connecting with the race individuals to just identify if that is still the case. So you're going to start out zigzagging through the neighborhood, same way you did on the bike, but now you are on the run. And again, until you get to this first aid station out here, your main objective is to get your legs underneath you again, get ready to rock and roll, figure out what you need for hydration, nutrition, all that stuff, and get it at this first aid station. Get it. If you have the wherewithal to do it, make sure you are getting nutrition, hydration in that transition zone as well. Why wait if you don't have to? Okay? But once you start getting down the road here, you can really start to open things up into your pace. Again, Ironman Maryland is a game of cat and mouse with other individuals, but at the end of the day, you are the person that is holding yourself back here. This is a course where athletes go to set PRs, so if you are experiencing some hydration and nutritional issues, run down your list. What has it been like the last couple of hours? What do I usually do compared to this? What's my nutrition been like? Do I need to have more calories? Do I need to have more electrolytes? All of that good stuff. Am I too hot? Am I just burning up out here? Am I freezing cold? How can I fix this? And as soon as you identify it, you're not going to be able to fix it in that moment, right? But as soon as you identify that, the sooner you will be able to turn things around on race day. If you figure this out in the first 2 or 3 miles, by the time you get to, and you act on it, by the time you get to 13, 14, 15 miles, it's going to get better. It's going to get better, but it's going to take a little while to get better. So don't panic, but you need to actively change what's been going on if you are experiencing some problems out there. Zigzagging out on course, you're going to go and you are going to do a little out and back section, a little turnaround point in here. This is a little different this year. We are going and experiencing this little circle right through here and cutting straight back, it looks like, before we hit an aid station right here. Another big question, is this aid station only on this side or is it on the other side as well? Another question for everyone to be asking when you check in or at the athlete briefings. Then when you do start to make your way back all the way over here, you are going to run directly past the transition again, for the first time, and you are going to run and zigzag your way on these roads right here, which you have more than likely ran on or walked on leading up to the race. You're going to do one of the cruelest things in all of triathlon. You are going to run almost next to that finish line, and you are going to take a right-hand turn, and you're going to run up a small drag where you will go to a turnaround before you will run down, and you will be able to see the finish line the entire time before you take a left, because this is a 3-loop run course. Now, personal needs. It's usually located around the transition area, whether it's by the boat ramp, whether it's in this area over here, but it's almost always located somewhere in this park, in this section right here. I believe you can access that on any loop you want. Another question you can ask over there. Another question about the personal needs bags is if you can access it more than once. The answer is usually yes, but you always want to double check and ask. Now the loops don't really change that much from loop to loop, right? It's pretty easy stuff there, okay? And I don't want you to overthink this, okay? The loops are pretty straightforward. It's almost impossible to get lost on them. The only confusing thing here is how many laps have you done? Have you done 1, 2, or 3? If you get to the end over here and you're running up this high street hill for the 3rd time, you know you are about to finish, okay? Another common, very, very demoralizing thing is faster athletes. You will not experience this because you will be finishing, but other athletes who are not as fast, and they will start another loop while you are finishing. It is almost always, it's one of the most demoralizing things in Ironman, and the finish is right there. It's tough. So I highly encourage you to just not even look at the finish line if you are not finishing. There's no point. You will be able to experience it. Don't worry. But it's not uncommon for athletes to linger here and get very down on themselves when they see others finish. Okay, you're there for a reason. You're doing it, so let's get it done. Okay. Hydration is almost always a huge issue here. When you come around this point, you're exposed to the elements. We're back in the neighborhoods through here. You can kind of hide from the wind, and it's not uncommon for athletes to get a little chilled out here, especially if you are an athlete who's going to be out there for a little bit longer, right? And when you do experience this little jut out right through here where transition is, you run right along the water. So if it is windy at all and you are a little chilly, you're going to be, it's going to feel way worse during that point in time right there, and your body's going to actively have to work to warm itself back up. And so if your nutrition is off, that can play serious games with you out there on race day. So actively go down your list, and you will be fine if you are able to have a checklist that puts water, hydration, nutrition, pace, what have I been doing, electrolytes, right? If you're able to actively go through that and pick something out that isn't right, you can fix this, right? Another not so common thing is for this street to flood. It has happened in the past. If that is the case this year, you just got to get through it. Okay, you just got to go. You're going to get wet. You're already soaking wet. Expect yourself to have blisters. That hasn't happened in a while, but there is a possibility that that does happen there as well. And again, if you're a first timer, I highly, highly encourage you to just not get super scared about all this stuff. All this information that's getting thrown at you on race week is for your help. And a lot of people make it a lot more complicated than it needs to be out here. So again, faster athletes, if you are wanting to put the pressure on someone, you're going to almost always do that right through here or during the high street hill here. Another area, last area that you can do it is probably around the transition area just to get away from someone, keep out of sight. But that is the Ironman MAryland course in a nutshell, and I wish I could give you guys a little bit more, but there's just not that much left to give out there on race day. Nutrition plays a huge part in this, and all the games that people play, they will be playing them on the run too, okay? So run your race, don't worry about what other people are doing, and have a blast out there, guys. And if you want any help with coaching or if you want individual race planning, reach out to me. I'll be happy to provide that to you. Good luck to everybody running MAryland this year.